positive message that you implanted all year, and even more so now, has really made them feel good about themselves. Can you talk about some of the ways that you talked to and handled you guys over the last week or 10 days?
Well, I mean, nothing has changed from our perspective. We've we've had a very good season, and it takes a very good season to put yourself in the playoffs. And then you have to be able to withstand the tough stuff that happens during a season. That's part of being a good team, and then kind of like running towards that and accepting it. And knowing it's going to happen and responding the next day is part of this game and part of what makes good teams. So I think we've continued to do a good job of that. It's how the postseason works. You're going to have your worst defeat of the year is probably going to come in the postseason, right? And you're going to have to respond to it the next day. And you get practice at that during the year.
With your bullpen, you've been extraordinarily careful and handling them to the point where nobody is worn out, and they all even talk about the fact that they've been taken care of really well. Maybe that's part of what you've done during your career, right, is really being scientific about handling bullpens. I
think, to me, it's like what those guys have done it. Like, they've done it for each other, and that's when you get a bullpen unit. Those guys are so connected down there to each other, and when you get a unit kind of doing their jobs, then that means they take care of each other, and so it's really just a credit to the unit, the group, and how each of their kind of performances help each other, both from a performance perspective and from a usage perspective.
Why was it important to get Moises behind the plate today?
I don't know if it was like important, but I think he hasn't caught in a while, you get to this. We have a day that the result doesn't matter, essentially, in terms of like what's going to happen next, and so you try to cover some things that could happen in the playoffs, and then just provide some kind of recency in case some frankly unlikely scenarios happen.
How much work has he been doing since he's been up with the catching group and the pitching staff?
Yeah, I mean he's done. I mean, plenty of drill work, and he's been very diligent. He's done first base work. He may play a little first base in the game today too, so we're going to kind of continue that. So it's just, like I said, he's been an exceptional hitter since he's been here, and I think that's the best development for Moises, really, is that he's come up to the big leagues and shown everybody what just a natural hitter he is, and against putting the fire against some tough competition. So the rest is a bonus, and he's worked really hard at each of those categories. But obviously we haven't played him. We haven't put him in there. So you can, when all you do is practice for a month and you don't get in a game, it's a little harder.
You've been through these wild card series before as a manager. Just how much more accelerated is the thought process? I mean, you've had home field and Milwaukee, and you've gone quick.
It's you get 2 games, So, whatever. It's like fast forward into game 5 of a 7-game series. I think. You think about it in terms of your relievers, is what can they do in a 3-day stretch? I think that's really where the decisions come, is like how much can they do in a 3-day stretch. That's really where the thought process comes in.
When you play the Padres and you look at Machado, Tatis early, Does that take your mind to, the first inning being similar to the 7th, 8th, or 9th as far as getting the outs and who might be the best to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, every playoff team is going to have a tough top of the order to go through. I think the first inning is a big inning. And sometimes people don't think it is as much as it is. It is an important inning, really important inning. It's the one time you're guaranteed to have the score like at a certain point, right? Which sounds like Captain Obvious, but anyway, so it's important. So yeah, we recognize that, and I think teams have recognized that in the playoffs for a while now.
As a manager, is it hard not to get ahead of yourself as far as practicality of using relief pitchers early in a game when you have competent starting pitchers going?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we all think about that every day. It's easy. Hey, go to the bullpen, go to the bullpen, go to the bullpen. There's also a world where you go to the bullpen, doesn't work, and the game just gets completely blown up, and you put yourself in a hole. So that's a real thing too. So, in a 3-game series, do you worry about that as much? Maybe less, but that's part of it.
Now that we have Cole going into 162 with Nico, the year that he's put up, just what do you think stands out the most about the year we kind of put together? Yeah,
the first thing that comes to mind is I think Nico didn't go to Japan with us, and he had a surgery in the winter that I think we were all concerned about, and now I don't know I think it's like 156 games. I think that's what it's going to be. Maybe I'm wrong by a couple there, and that's what I'm most proud of, really, is that number, that he got to that big a number. That's just a credit to kind of how he attacked the off season, and even though he'd be unhappy with this, how we didn't take him to Japan, I think I'm happy that we didn't do that. And then I think he's just put together a complete season, and I think that's what's really great about that's why Nico's such a special player, is because you're getting something from all parts of the game, and he impacts the game just on the bases, with his unique abilities as a hitter. His defense is Gold Glove caliber every single year, and this year was better than last year for sure, in my opinion. So it's just there's a lot of baseball at a high level in a lot of areas.
Unlike the regular season, do you study more manager tendencies going into the postseason, you and your coaching staff, as far as what he's done and what he might do, as far as?
I mean, look, I don't think you have to. I think we've been looking at it actually probably for the last couple of weeks, and just so you do have it, you at least have a last couple of weeks of sample, because them for us and us for them, we've kind of known that it's probably going to be each other for the last 2 weeks. So I think there's less surprises in that area than we always worry about.
I was just saying, just kind of similarly, I mean, your guys' season matchup ended in April. It's been a while since both sides have seen each other. Just what is that dynamic like going into a postseason series, especially a short one, where it's both teams are different than what you guys played against each other or saw earlier this year?
I don't know. It's the same for both sides, so I don't put too much stock into that. Yeah, I mean it's fine. We haven't played them for a while. It's fine. They got good players. We got good players. It's going to be fun watching those guys compete against each other. So it's just not a. I don't know how you do anything different before it. it's go execute stuff and challenge people with your best stuff.
Postseason experience, overrated, underrated, important, not?
Yeah, I mean, I think for players, the one thing that it probably does is help manage your emotions a little bit. That's probably the one thing that experience helps you with, is managing that part of it. So that's would certainly going to be something to talk about with some of the younger guys with that part of it. But other than that, it's like it doesn't. The younger player can better use that to his advantage than there's no age limit on there, experience limit on who uses it better, right?
Beyond just run scoring and to see your offense consistently put pressure on the opposition. Do you feel like they've kind of turned a corner and are doing that regularly again?
Yeah, and I think it's the kind of the same. This is Seiya and Pete. I hate to, that's what's really changed, like in this homestand, right? To me, and that's not to put it all on them, but it's just they are impact offensive players, and so when they do their thing, we score a lot of runs. Now, it doesn't matter who does it at the postseason. It doesn't matter if it's Dansby or Matt Shaw or Pete or Kyle Tucker, it doesn't matter. But I think players like Pete and Seiya that have the ability to hit the ball out of the park and change games, like it changes games.
With you guys clinching yesterday, you wake up in your own beds this morning and know you're going to be here for a few more days without having to travel. How much of a relief of that is that, just from a logistical?
I thought it would be a great relief, but I slept like last night.
Why is that?
I don't know. I was asking myself that at 3:30.
Melatonin.
Yeah. That's why I asked that myself for 2 hours. What is going on?
You normally sleep pretty good.
I do. I have no problem sleeping.
Craig, I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, the way you're set up, I think you're trending towards 12 pitchers, 14 position players.
I think most teams trend to that. I think I like pushing these decisions to the end because I just like being able to think about them, and right now feel like I can focus more attention on it. So we'll probably take it farther, but I think to the end. But yeah, it's just there's a reason that most playoff rosters have done it that way.
Second question, based on what you guys were just talking about, might be a weird one, but do you view this from the regular season to the playoffs offensively almost like spring training to the regular season, meaning maybe hot and then cold, cold and then hot? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it that?
I know what you're saying.
Uncertain?
Yeah. Well, I think I view that there's a way. You could say day to day, and the day to day is the same thing. But I think, yeah, and that's why the point is like it can be anybody. It really can be who gets the big hit or that hits the big home run. And I do think that's the way it is. So, you need to score though. We're gonna need to score, and so somebody's gonna have to be the guy that gets the big. Multiple guys are gonna have to get the big hits. But I agree with you.
Do stars worry you more in postseason? Star players like Tatis and do they worry managers more?
I mean, the good players. You always spend a little more time thinking about the good players. That's just like during the regular season as well. So during the postseason more. Maybe, yeah.
I know you talked about this at different points, but
I mean, we had. Sorry, I was just going looking back. I mean, we just. If you go back to the game logs of games we played, check one of the game logs in San Diego and see if it matters if it's the regular season or the playoffs. See how the game ended.
All right.
Check one of the game logs. Yeah.
Thanks. Will do.
Yeah.
talked kind of about Wrigley over the last 2 years, but now that the playoff baseball is returning, could you just explain your process of kind of like understanding what plays here, kind of the predictability of it, how you kind of prepared your team kind of for this moment? That's kind of a broad question about.
I'm not sure I understand.
Because I'm getting at, like, you show up here, you make certain changes around the dugout, you see how this park has become like a terrible place for hitters. You made some adjustments, like in your coaching staff. How did that process evolve over the last 2 years since you took this job?
Maybe it took me a minute to understand this, is that each organization kind of has its own DNA, and that's kind of everything. That brings the park and the dugout and whatever, and you're trying. And I guess I'm trying to make it. My thought is always try to. Who's our group, and let's make it the best for this group. And what does this group need? And what do these players need? And what does our front office and franchise need? And then you try to you try to figure that out and make the best decisions in that vein. And so I think. From that perspective, I like where we're at. I like how this group kind of responded to, what we thought was important this year. I think they really grabbed onto that, and that was important. I think that's a reason, one of the reasons why we're here today. But they really believed it and accepted it, and thought it was important. And I think. The tricky part about this place is it changes, and I think we have to, and I have to be like quick enough to change when I feel like things change.
Your perception of Nico Horner coming in as a manager and your perception of him today as a player, how has that changed, if it has?
Well, I mean, look, I think. Any good players, like you like being around them every day. It's fun to be around, like, I think people that are really good at their jobs and high levels of professionalism, and understand like how they do it kind of on a minute by minute basis almost. And you respect. I think we all respect like the discipline that goes into that. So. From the other side, you're like, this is a really good player. This is a really good player, and then you kind of you get under the hood of his process, and it's really fun to see like the why he's so good at it, like without seeing the field stuff, and that's what you respect about a lot of these guys. It's the one thing I love about the day games is a really like great teacher of discipline. It really is. And you learn it when you're playing 52 day games. There's a discipline to that is forced upon you that I think is cool to watch.
When you mentioned Patrick about they embraced what it took to win, you, for lack of a better way of putting it, talk about like the little things in the game, the base running, take advantage of every opponent's miscue out. Is it things on the margins?
We're always trying like those. That's where you can probably have. There's development stuff that we're absolutely trying to do, but there's. It's like we've used the word like athletic, instinctual, and experienced, and I think those three traits kind of apply to everybody in different ways. And they require, if you want to have those words attached to you, they require some things on the field. From the pitcher's perspective, like just the pounding the strike zone of the strength of this group of pitchers. It's their strength of like throwing strikes and using our defense and the park, and like there's sometimes an uncomfort that goes with it, but we need to do it for this. It's going to help us succeed, and so it's just embracing kind of those things and then living them out on the field.
You hinted at the quirkiness of the ballpark or the uniqueness of the ballpark. In a series like this, how much does the knowledge of the weird little things about this ballpark really give you an edge?
I don't think. I'm not sure it's that kind of park. Like, I think during the day there might be some stuff, but at night, depending on what time the game is, during the day I'm not sure there's like knowledge during the day there's knowledge that could help us. At night, I'm not sure.